Hey guys, today I'm going to do a quick video to discuss a new article that just came out in Cosmic Book News, who have been doing some really good coverage for this whole DCU James Gunn situation, especially over the past few weeks, and according to them, James Gunn, the DCU, his Batman, and a lot of future stuff that we've heard about in the past, all of that seems to be on hold. I'm also going to be talking a bit about this whole company sale and some new developments with that, so let's get into it. Now, obviously, when you have all these creative plans, but there's also a very strong possibility that your company is going to get purchased, a lot of the times it would put such plans in limbo, and in James Gunn's case, especially since he hasn't been delivering the best results, even more so. Now, the reason why this Cosmic Book News article is rather interesting is because it basically confirms a lot of the things that I've been saying here on this channel for the past few months, and specifically, it really touches upon things that I mentioned in a video on August 18th, 2025, over 2 months ago, in which I had explained that while Warner Brothers were making it seem like everything was great with James Gunn, and they were so pleased with all of his results, in reality, he was actually quietly demoted behind the scenes. And the reason that I was saying that is because he had initially announced this whole Gods and Monsters Phase 1, but now he was pivoting to talk about something that he considered the Superman saga, which really felt like a downsize of what he was talking about, instead of a ton of new characters, including the DCU Batman, in a movie called The Brave and the Bold. Now, all of that had already been pushed aside, even back then, so that he could sort of focus on what he called the Superman saga. Now, of course, this creative pivot, he made it seem like something that he wanted, but in reality, to me, it felt like something that somebody else wanted, perhaps his bosses, probably due to the poor results he was generating. And I also had mentioned in the past that, to me, Man of Tomorrow, this so-called Superman sequel, seemed more like a movie that was tying up all the loose ends of James Gunn's movies and shows in something of like an Avengers type movie, just so they could wrap everything up prior to his contract ending at the end of 2026. And while I did mention a lot of this stuff, it's still nice when you see somebody like Matt McGloin and Cosmic Book News reporting on it, because they heard about things on their end, and it makes it a bit more official. It always adds something, because as much as I like to give great analysis based on the experience, even working in entertainment that I have, I don't sit in meetings with CEO David Zaslav to find out what he wants to do with Warner Brothers. The best I can do is just look at things and give my analysis, but I'm at least happy to find out that a lot of the things that have been saying have actually been true. And the article explains that everything that's now being filmed, everything that's in motion, everything that's being animated, these shows and movies are not going to just get canceled midstream, most likely, but it also is pretty clear that beyond Man of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Clayface, Lanterns, and Creature Commando, there aren't going to be a million more projects greenlit, especially before a company sale. What's interesting though, and this is really cool in this article, is that it does mention that even prior to all this sale talk, there was a lot of internal displeasure with James Gunn's results, which is basically why they squashed James Gunn's DCU Batman Brave and the Bold even before people were talking about a company sale, which, as we all have known for a while, makes perfect sense. I mean, it's not rocket science. If a guy is not delivering the results you want from him, why would you keep giving him billions of dollars to keep making other projects that'll lose money for you? Warner Brothers, at the end of the day, wants to make money, and their CEO, David Zaslav, is not one of those activist Bob Iger types. He really cares about the bottom line. He wants to see his company making money. He's an old school guy, and that's what he cares about. So if somebody's not performing, he's well aware of it, and he doesn't like it. And when it comes to the sale itself, we've seen today that Apple is now a possibility. I've talked about Apple before, but I actually think that Paramount is probably a bigger contender. Comcast is probably a bigger contender. Apple, maybe. Netflix, maybe. We'll have to see how it plays out. What I do know is, it seems like Zaslav probably ideally would want Paramount to buy the entire Warner Brothers company before he splits it into two entities, and in order to do that, he's sort of pressuring them to try to come up with the highest bid possible. They're trying to offer him $20, $23, $25 a share, which he's rejected, because in that case, David Zaslav only walks out of this deal with about $200 to $300 million. But if they raise their offer to something like $30, $35, $40 a share, well, in that case, Zaslav could walk away with $400, $500 million personally in his pocket, and I think that that's really what he's looking for. And as always with these type of mergers and acquisitions, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It is important to note that David Zaslav is considered a seasoned veteran when it comes to these kind of deals, so I'm sure he has a very well thought out plan on how he's going to do it, and it may not happen today or tomorrow. It may take some time, but I will say that if nothing else, it does put James Gunn and his entire DCU up in the air in limbo, and that Gunn himself, based on all of his recent statements, knows that as well. And interestingly, even Zack Snyder senses that there's something going on, and maybe that's an opening for him to return in some capacity at some point. Though, as I said, we're far from that happening, but for the first time in several years, it's at least an option that's on the table, and in some scenario, maybe it could even happen. And if you want to keep getting these type of updates about the DCU, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help an independent entertainment news reporter like myself. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But I'm